The Leadmill is one of the most long-lasting and well-known nightclubs in South Yorkshire. But this time next year, the old flour mill is set to close its doors, seeing new management and staff take it over.
So quite a few people have come up to me and said, "Are you the guy that's called Leadmill?" Which is quite funny.
It's not just, corporation after corporation, Pret-a-Manger after Pret-a-Manger. It is, distinct and unique.
Whenever I have friends that come round to Sheffield, I always kind of mention these are the places we go to, etc.
You won't find this space anywhere else.
And yet, it certainly hasn't come without its backlash, as many have taken to social media to campaign against it, as well as to express their love for arguably the most iconic music venue in Sheffield. Minesh Parekh is the newly elected Labour councillor for Crooks and Crossball, who has written an article on how keeping independent businesses alive and in public hands is incredibly important.
The council should consider using a compulsory purchase order, which is basically a power councils and other government bodies have to buy a building or a piece of land without the owner's permission, if they think it's in the public interest to do so. There's definitely been a lot of an outcry support. I've seen lots of people bring up, their fond memories of it, and that's people who still go now. That's people who last 20, 30 years ago. It's because it is such a cultural signifier, I think. But, I think there's it's so important to think in terms of the long-term future of a city as well. We know the Leadmill is core to what it means to be Sheffield for so many people who come here from outside, and also for people who live here. I think, to me, it's clearly in the public interest to say Leadmill should exist.
Joseph Brindle is a student who changed his middle name to Leadmill for charity a few months ago. Now he says his name has taken on a completely new meaning and hopes he won't be the only long-lasting legacy of the venue.
I wasn't born with a middle name. And then a few weeks ago, me and my friends were saying that I should come up with one, but we couldn't decide what my middle name should be, and we had quite a few joking ideas. So we decided to put it out to the public, and we did like an Instagram survey and stuff, and everyone suggested different ideas. And then with all those ideas, we took out the top 10. They were all, we had a big party and the tally, and people tallied the one that they thought was the best. And those top 10 went on to this on this poll, and people could maybe it was top 5, and people could donate money behind the one that they thought was the best one, and that money went to the Sheffield Children's Hospital Trust. But I think it will lose what makes it a Leadmill. It's so much more than just the building. It's all they've done to the building. It's all their great events, the history of what they've done there, and just the people there are so friendly and great. I mean, the fact that they donated £100 for my fundraiser is just a really good example of kind community involved people they are.
Gio Law is an independent artist who grew up in Sheffield and now lives in London. A few years ago, he was asked to create a mural for the back wall of the Leadmill using his signature artistic style and featuring a speaker and record design to reflect years of different music genres soaked into the walls. It was on display until 2016.
They just basically wanted a mural in. It was on the back, along the back wall of the main room when you walk in. And at the time, I was doing murals for a lot of different people. I think I just, as a Sheffield-based artist, word gets around quite quickly. So I was producing murals for Microsoft and Facebook, and I was traveling up and down between London. And they involved the creative community, and quite a few bands that are up and coming, which some of them are my friends. They always manage to get slots to support bands that are touring, and so there's that connectivity between the local creative community and outside artists and bands and people coming in. So there's always a cross-pollination. It is kind of sad. It is kind of sad that if it does completely go, but I mean the reality is things do come and go, and then a couple of years later, people just kind of talk about it like it's a memory, and then change. Cities are run on change, and cities are run on progression.
Henry Teets Tyler has worked in one of the Leadmill's art studios since its opening in 1980. His art has been featured in many exhibitions across Europe, including Bologna, Marburg and Lithuania, and says he's worried about how and where he'll work next year. He was kind enough to show me around his studio.
This side was the main part and the auditorium was the main part that was was developed by the Leadmill in 1980. One of the things about a space like this, of course, is that it's not just that it was an very easily or fairly easily affordable space. Leadmill is only one of the many kinds of local venues and spaces that need protection.
So, in sharing fond memories as well as the different ways it has contributed to Sheffield and all who live in it, the Leadmill will clearly be missed if changes are made next year. This is Emma Westray, reporting for Yorkshire Bylines, Sheffield.